Hello, are we live? We seem to be live. Seemingly live with a black screen that says excellent condition. Can you see me? Can we see and hear? I don't know why it's not. Oh, there it goes. Hello? 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 Are we live? Something's funky. Laura says, and we're live. Cha-ching. All right, hello everybody. Good to see you. It's Friday. It's time to live stream. What do I have cooked up today? Honestly, mostly that weird interview with Tucker Carlson and Putin. What the fuck? I have an echo. Oh no. There's an echo? Really? There's an echo? I am echoing. Y'all, don't fuck with me. Like, I need to know what's going on. Is it just Laura, or is it other people? Like, I need to know. It's just Laura? That's what I'm wondering. Okay, well, that's your problem. Don't burden me with that. Don't curse me. Don't share your curses with me. Don't you curse me, too. No, there's no... Okay, so I don't think there's any echo. I don't know why Laura's having an echo. Maybe you have two windows up? I don't know, of the same thing. Yeah, I called it. I called it. I called it. Roof. That stupid dog keeps barking. Laura's trying to tell us me. Psh. Yeah. I'm on to you and your shenanigans. Oh my god. Y'all, it has been such a messed up week. Like, come Sunday, there's like this raving, windy, rainy storm, and my power goes out. And not just like my power, like everybody's power. Like, not just in the city, like most of Northern California, like Central Coast Northern California, like in the valley. Like, it was catastrophically bad with the storm that we got hit with. And so my power went out Sunday morning about 11 p.m. and I did not get power back till like late night on Wednesday. So it was like 4 days without power at all. Ugh. Now, it wasn't like super horrible. Obviously, there's more traumatic things to go through in life, but it was stressful enough where I'm just having like a weird fucking week. And I'm really like upset. I had to like, cuz there was no way, cuz I live in such a like a small area So you're like, oh, if your power's out and like you're worried about your fridge food going bad, right? Just go get some ice, put it in an ice chest. There's no ice. There's no ice in the grocery stores. And we're having to drive like way out of town to go get ice. So it's like pretty much just had to say to fucking hell with like everything that I had stored in my freezer. I had to throw away like so much perfectly good meat. It was like, it was really sad. I'm like, this is like my food storage that I'm having to throw out, like everything out of my fridge. It was like really stressful. And then there's like nothing to do. It's really dark and we're like lighting all these candles, which is kind of fun in some way, but like I don't have very much. I have limited data on my cell phone because I'm so like spoiled and used to Wi-Fi. So I only have like 5 gigs that I never notice I go through until I have no Wi-Fi. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going through like a gig every hour. So I can't do anything. There's like hardly any internet. There's like no power. So I started to just sort of descend into madness. Some cool parts about it is I had a little moment where Susan sent me some math problems to do, and that was really fun. I just did some very simple solve for X problems, and that kept me busy for a minute. I then disintegrated and degraded into another character because I had too much time on my hands. And I created this character named Agatha, who's like a sort of Victorian era woman. And she lives in a seaside home that was bought, by her husband. She's a newlywed, and her husband is a sea captain, and the sea captain is out on a voyage. And then I'm sitting there. I literally have like a lantern, not like where is it? It's not like an actual candle lantern, but it's like, it's like a flashlight lantern. So I'm like carrying my lantern around my house, going on these like monologues of waiting for my dear sweet Humphrey to return home from the sea. And then I realized that out of my character doesn't know that Humphrey is actually gay. So then I had to go onto this I wrote a letter from Humphrey to Agatha. And let me read you. I actually wrote this down. I'm going to read you the letter that Captain Humphrey wrote to his dear sweet Agatha. Well, actually, he didn't write it directly to her. This is actually more of like his memoir. So I leave my sweet Agatha in our cherished home that I bought us when we married. I return to the sea on another mission. I know she will be lonely, but it is the sea I long for. It is the sea that makes me whole. This mission was a seemingly ordinary mission. Take the cargo from one point to another. And I had a mighty fine crew with me, built of the finest men. One man in particular, a very young lad with noticeable strength. Apples, they called him, mainly because all he was ever seen was eating apples. The way he hoisted the barrels up with his broad shoulders and tight upper body gave me a sensation that I have never felt previously. He was a very stimulating young man, and well educated too, able to carry on long conversations about books and poetry. I found him visiting my captain's quarters frequently, where we would connect. After much time, it became clear that my longing for the sea was a longing for something else instead. I still think of my sweet Agatha, who is innocent to all this. Harming her is the last thought I have, but I feel I must write to her. She deserves the truth and nothing less. Poor Agatha. And I actually have, where's my recording of like Agatha like talking about this stuff? Let's see. I actually have it recorded. I was going back and forth with like Mark and like the other mods. Where's my thing about Agatha? It was really good. Her response to the letter. Here it is. After receiving Humphrey's letter about his other interest, I sighed, taking my lantern to the window, watching the sea beat against the shore rocks, like the heart beating in my chest. Father shall return from the war soon, and then he will find me a new man, I think. Credit to Cassie on
I've
that
had
one.
fine times with my father. I think now of the farm I grew up on, the one next to the creek, where I would take my horse down with my little sister, and we would gather prawns out of the creek. All I ever dreamed of was prawns as a farm girl. After we would gather the prawns, we would come back, and Father would cook them for us. I do love that sweet horse. That horse that we rode back and forth on. Apples was his name. He loved apples. One day while going down to the creek, Apples broke a leg. He stepped into a hole in the ground.
This is Agatha, by the way.
By a gopher. That night my father said that we had to put Apples to sleep. I cried. Father took the shotgun. I knew what was going to come. I ran after him as he walked out the door, clinging to his clothes, begging him, please, Father, no. Please, Apples is all I have. But it was going to happen one way or another. Oh, my sweet Apples. How I miss thee.
If you didn't catch the irony, and Mark actually helped me out with this, so Humphrey and Agatha were newlywed. Humphrey bought Agatha a seaside home. Humphrey went on to a new mission because he's a sea captain. Agatha is waiting for him, but he finds out that he's gay, and he becomes infatuated with a boy named Apples. And simultaneously, Agatha gets the letter from Humphrey telling her the truth that he's gay, she reminisces about a horse she used to have named Apples who broke his leg and her father had to shoot. So, as you can see, I descended into madness while the power was out for 4 solid fucking days. I am, writing memoirs of, Humphrey and Agatha in this whole thing, with some help from, Mark and, friends and stuff, so. This is, yeah. Yeah, Vibrational, you missed the whole memoir by Humphrey. That was good. I literally, read it out. You'll have to rewind it. I'm not reading that again. So that is the tale of my Victorian part 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Mark helped me flesh that one out too. In fact, I think he had a good title for it. Let me look and see. I promise we do serious things as moderators. Yeah, so Mark came up with the title Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash, the missing chapter from The Prince by Machiavelli. Let's see, this is what Mark had to say at the as commentary to it.
A man who has spent more than 3 years at sea
He's
knows
talking about
his
Humphrey.
master and his mistress. He is not fit to return to a lady of good upbringing and fine manners. How could I confess to her all of the terrible things that a man must confront when his only masters are rum, sodomy, and the lash? Alas, there were things I could never disclose.
He was writing from the perspective of Humphrey and that. So yeah, we have this tortured gay sea captain who really loves his wife. Truly loves his wife, but he doesn't want to harm her, but he feels she must know the truth. And she is the only person in his life that he will tell the truth to. So that's what I did, besides math. See these notebooks? There's one for writing and one for math. Okay. That's what I do when the power's out. When the power came on, it's like, screw Humphrey! Fuck this shit. Laura says Agatha must turn to lesbianism because Humphrey has now ruined her trust in men. You know, I was actually thinking of that in my head. I was thinking now this is the time where Agatha meets up with other wives who are missing husbands, either widows or something, and they actually start like some weird estranged witches coven or like a cult like group where it's like their book club, but really they like practice weird occult stuff. Like, this is like a whole saga, okay? It's actually a really interesting story. You did, Mark. Mark, I read the whole... I'm explaining them the thing between Humphrey and Agatha. I read my whole thing about, like, Humphrey's memoir. I shared with him, like, what you added as Humphrey. We're talking about, like, the title, what is it? Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. And yes, I'm talking about, like, perhaps Agatha gets involved with other widows and creates, like, a coven. I like this. Lisa says, I love it. Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. That's an odd question, Brent. Why are you asking that? Have you ever had sex with somebody that you trust to this very day? Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. That's an odd question. Why just be lesbian or why not like people all? Wait, what? What are you asking? Nanu says, why just be lesbian or homosexual? Why not like people all? Do you want to rephrase that? Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. Lee says, what a great way to explore the mind. You know, I think so. I think that's a good use of, like, if the power's out, like, and it sounds kind of silly to say this, but, like, you really do have, like, the power of your imagination to, like, keep you occupied. Like, I could just, like, sit on the couch and daydream all day. But I do, like, I don't know. I was pretty grumpy with the power outage. Okay, so here's, like, a toxic trait that I have that I'm trying to work on. I will take a bad 10 minutes out of the day, and I will milk it into the entire fucking day. So if I have a bad week, I will try and milk that into a bad month. And I gotta, like, stop that. So I am, like, in that mindset of, like, the whole fucking week was ruined. That's it. All of February is fucked. We can't do anything anymore. Shut the girls down. Shut the kitchen down. It's all ruined. All of it at once. Pansexual gang. Hell yeah. I'm pansexual. But there's so, okay, so why gay? Why not pansexual? Because a gay sea captain is just so classic and just so unexplored at the same time. I need more gay sea captain stories in my life, okay? I need more queerosexual seafaring stories in my life. Has anybody ever seen the TV series Our Flag Means Death? It's like, it's honestly one of the best fucking shows I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know if they've done a second or any more seasons or not. But it's a wonderful fucking, like, series with, like, an actual, like, they actually have a non-binary character in there. It's amazing. It's so rare to see that. Love seeing all the will forming and grounding in self-awareness. Thank you. Zeus says, heard a lot about that show on Tumblr. It's really good. Our Flag Means Death is like a pirate-esque. It's like the basic story is like some rich boy decides like he wants to be a pirate, but he's so like well educated and just like prim proper, and he's trying to like get involved into like these really terrible situations, and it's really funny. There's a lot of like gay relationships, and it's really fabulous. Like it's such a fucking funny show. Like I highly suggest it. But yes, the saga may continue. Actually, I might just kind of work on this as a fun side project. If Mark's interested, we can just continue this saga of like Agatha and Humphrey for the fucking hell of it. If we just get like the core of like the premise of like the plot down, I feel like AI can fill in the rest and we can doctor it and we'll make a novel. It started out blazing. It totally did. You know what's so funny? I just had the idea of like I'm this character and I'm waiting for my husband to return from the sea. And after I said that, then suddenly it snapped in my head. I'm like, what if he was gay? And that just seemed like really fucking hilarious at first. Very controversial. A man longing for the sea, but what he finds is much more. He doesn't long for the sea, he longs for something else. His dear, sweet Agatha. He loves her so dearly, and she is literally the only person in the world who knows of his secrets. She is a secret keeper. Yes, and the number one rule of improv, yes. They all go to bed together at the end. Yes, Apples, Humphrey, and Agatha. Twist! Humphrey thinks he's gay, but he realizes he's bisexual. I don't know. The Ladies' Club is a very exclusive club of twisted witches who meet under cover of darkness to hex their exes and men of ill repute. Yeah, I like that, but I do have to say that Agatha and Humphrey do love each other very much, and I think that's why it's a very torturous relationship, is they love each other very much, but there's no sex involved with it. They discover an intimacy beyond sex. He is defrocked. He is a defrocked priest, become privateer. So many things. Oh! That was awesome, Mark. Mark says they love each other very much, but they love the devil even more. That's the whole heart of it. It's the love for the devil archetype. It's the manifestation of the devil archetype within them all. Ooh. It's like, damn, that's a good one. I like this. We will continue the saga. My dear sweet Humphrey. It's so cool because I can feel both characters inside of me. Like I can switch from one to the other. I can feel like the sadness of Agatha, of the loneliness. Whereas, like, Humphrey, he isn't quite alone, but he's constantly plagued with this, like, longing. Writing a duet. So anyway, sitting on the couch and hallucinating when the power is out is a way to go through things. Also, I've been microdosing mushrooms, so that probably has something to add to it. I mean, what the fuck else am I gonna do? The power's out. I mean, it's not out now, but I'm drinking like a 2 liters of root beer, by the way. I feel like a child. I think it's because like the 2 liter like bottles are cheaper than the cans at this point, or they're more on sale. So I feel like I remember pouring a cup of root beer for like ever. The sirens call a sailor to die, enchanted by the sound his desires have been found. Laura says, I love creative people. Y'all are great. Thank you. See, I'm pretty proud of myself for that. Pretty proud. And of Mark, too. Going back and forth with that whole, like, saga. Laura says, are there such thing as gay men sirens? I don't know, but I want that to happen. Dinner rolls? If you write, they will come. I don't know. You know, I don't ever think of myself as a writer. Ever. Like, if you were to ask me, like, hey, are you a writer? I'm like, no. But I do write. I write song lyrics. I do write some poetry. I don't share it. I do creatively write, like this example where I wrote my piece by Humphrey. I don't ever really consider myself a writer, but I guess I can. I guess I can write. Oh my goodness. 29 people in the chat and only 20 people liked. What are the 9 of you doing? You better like it right now. I'm telling you. I'm joking. I'm just like, kindly please like it if you're in here and you haven't hit the like yet. But I do see 29 of you in here. And only, we got 21 likes now. Can we get more? We're going to start this interview with Tucker Carlson and Putin here soon, which I am just like already not really sure how I feel about it. But we'll see how it goes. I've been saving it. I've been purposefully not watching it so I can watch it raw and bare with you. The bare fucking raw balls in my bum with this interview. I probably shouldn't word it like that. That's probably a little too explicit, but 30 viewers, 22 likes. Let's go. Laura says, oh, the ladies' club meets in an old abandoned church in the woods where they sing the old hymn, oh, come to the church of the wildwood. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, it's fun to creative write. Or do some creative writing. It's fun to pretend. It was really interesting having the power out because there's no like street lamps or anything outside, and I'm in a really small like foresty town. It was pitch black like at night. And there was one night where we actually got lightning. Now, I know lightning sounds really simple and plain, but you have to understand, I live in a particular area where lightning is extremely rare. Like, we don't have it here on the coast. I mean, we can. It's not impossible, but it's not a very regular occurrence. So when it does happen, it's very unique. So it's like, wow, lightning. So it was like the middle of the night one night. I think it was like 4 a.m. I don't know. I woke up and it was so dark because like there was no power, right, throughout the whole town. throughout the whole city, but then like there was lightning just flashing across the sky, and that was a really cool experience. Mark says all writers start out by pretending to be writers. Jan, you keep pretending and you take notes. I will. Laura says, I like to write song lyrics. I sang some of them at BDSM play parties. I'm not laughing at you. You're just like a sweet, like, woman to me. And just imagining you at some BDSM party, like, like, I'm not laughing because I'm making fun of you. It's just really funny because, like, I take you in as, like, a really sweet woman, and you're just like, I'm singing at a BDSM party. That's awesome, though. Hell yeah. You go, sister. All right, who is ready to get started on our Tucker Carlson Putin adventure? Who's ready for this? I don't even know if I'm ready for this. I don't even know how I'm going to feel. But kudos to Lee. Lee, thank you for providing. I did have a version of the interview, but Lee found me a better version of it. That was very kind of Lee to share with me some, like, a good version of this interview. So thank you, Lee. We love Lee. Thank you, Lee. Japheth. I'm not putting up with it. I guess, Laura, it's because I know about your background and, like, getting involved with the church. So, like, when you say that, I'm like, we need to talk more, girl. We need to have a conversation about what the hell that is. Laura's a fascinating woman, by the way. Melinda Mayhem says, I just finished a call with Damien, my boyfriend, and I'm ready to watch the live stream tonight. Oh, good. I need to pee, I think, already before we get started on this. And just because I know it's going to be a while. So let me pee and I shall be right back, okay? Okay. Man, that P screen makes things so much better. By the way, if anybody wants to submit art to the P screen, just send it to me, let me know. However you can, message it to me and we shall get going there. I like that, Laura. My hair. I don't even know what I want to do with my hair these days. It's just kind of on my head. That looks ridiculous. What is this? Oh, well. All right. Yes, you can make multiple entries. Absolutely. As long as they're different looking. Alright, let's go with the Tucker Carlson shit. Let's just get this started. Fuck me. I don't even know what I'm going to think about this. I don't even know if I have the mental capacity for this, but we're going to try it anyways. Okay. God, I just hate his face. Okay, so right off the bat, let me tell you right now, I don't like Tucker Carlson, obviously, and I don't like Vladimir Putin, all right? I don't like either of them. So, but let's just keep that in mind when we go through.
Mr. President, thank you. On February 22nd, 2022, you addressed your country in a nationwide address when the conflict in Ukraine started. And you said that you were acting because you had come to the conclusion that the United States, through NATO, might initiate a, quote, surprise attack on our country. And to American ears, that sounds paranoid. Tell us why you believe the United States might strike Russia out of the blue. How did you conclude that?
Well, it was not about that the United States wanted to surprisingly strike Russia. I didn't say so. Is it a talk show or is it a formidable, serious talk that we're having?
Here's the quote. Thank you. It's a formidable, serious talk.
It's a serious talk, okay. You are trained in history, as far as I know.
Yes.
No.
So I'll allow myself, like, to spend a minute to give you a reference note, a debriefing, if you don't mind that.
Please.
Well, look, our relationship with Ukraine, what was the starting point of the relationship? Where does Ukraine come from? The Russian state became centralized, which was the year of establishment of the Russian state in 862, when, well, there's a city of Novgorod in the northwest of Russia, when they invited Prince Rurik from Scandinavia, from the Vikings, in 862. In 1862, 1,000 years since the establishment of the statehood was marked, and there is a memorial dedicated to that in Novgorod. In 882, the successor of Rurik, Prince Oleg, who actually was a regent to Rurik's young son, came to Kiev. He ousted two brothers that used to be in the past, had been in the past members of the crew of Rurik. And so there were two centers of the statehood, in Kiev and in Novgorod, back then. The next red letter date was 888. The conversion into Christianity, when Prince Vladimir accepted Eastern Christianity, the Orthodox faith, in Kiev. Since then, decentralized power in Russia got entrenched with a single...
So right now he's not exactly like giving any like personal opinion. He's literally just talking about history.
Territory, a single economy, one and the same language.
Look at his dumb... Oh my fuck. I missed it.
The conversion into Christianity, when Prince Vladimir accepted Eastern Christianity, the Orthodox faith, in Kiev. Since then, decentralized power in Russia got entrenched with a single territory, a single economy.
That dumb fucking look on his face. says Putin way overestimates the ability of Tucker's audience to absorb dry historical ramblings. That's true. This shit is going all over their head. They don't fucking know what he's saying. And look at Tucker. This is exactly. He's not fucking listening. A labradoodle waiting for the tennis ball to throw. I am so amused right now.
Me. One and the same language. And after the baptism of Rus, they had the same faith and the rule of Grand Prince. And the centralized Russian state was fledgling. Thanks to different reasons, after the succession to throne practices were introduced by Yaroslav the Wise, after he'd passed away, there was not direct order of succession from father to the eldest son, but it was the horizontal from the demised prince to his brother, and all that led to the partitioning, feudal partitioning of ancient Rus. Same happened in Europe. It was a natural process, but that partitioned state, Russian state, became and fell prey to the empire established by Genghis Khan, and Khan party came to Rus, pillaged all the cities and different cities.
Mark's like, do you think Carlson has a translator in his ear who didn't stop for the history segment and take a break? Yeah. Putin's deaf, wired for translation. I think it's a coin toss with Tucker Carlson, totally. Hey, Altair, good to see you.
Like Kiev and others lost their independence while northern cities of Russia preserved part of their sovereignty. They
oh my God. I just like right now it's just frustrating to me because it's like he's just giving Putin like the basic, or I mean he's giving Tucker like the basic of like history lesson right now. Most of this I feel like is going to be boring.
To the yoke, and later the centralized Russian state became fleggling in northwestern part of Russia, and the southern lands of Russia were gravitating towards another center, the one of Europe, the Grand Lithuanian Dukedom, Duchy, the Lithuanian-Russian Duchy, as the ethnic Russians constituted a big part, and they were Orthodox in faith, and they spoke the ancient Russian language then there, but later Poland, the Kingdom of Poland, and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania were unified, and another unification in spiritual sphere was signed, and part of the Orthodox priests were now subordinate to Pope. So those lands were transferred to the Polish and Lithuanian state, but for decades the Poles tried to convert those people, those Russians, trying to entrench an idea that those were not specifically and fully Russian, trying to assimilate them. Ukraine means the trim of the nation, the trim of the land, the border area. So some of them were border guards or something, but there was not about a specific ethnic group. So the Poles tried to assimilate the Russians.
I'm going to try speeding this up a bit. If it gets annoying, like, for anybody, like, let me know. But I just need to speed this up just a little.
Population there and treated those lands in a tough or cruel even way. All that led to that part of the Russian lands struggle for their rights. They wrote letters to Warsaw claiming that their rights were to be upheld.
I beg your pardon, can you tell us what period? I'm losing track of where in history we are. The Polish oppression of Ukraine.
It was in the 13th century, 13th century, 14th century. 13th century. And I'll tell you what happened later, and I'll keep track of the dates. In 1654, or a bit earlier,
Just pretty much describing how Orthodox Christianity made its way through Russia in early history. Zeus says, Putin hasn't been interviewed in decades. He just gets on TV and gives slightly less an imbecilic version of a Trump rally speech. He'll talk for hours straight. Tucker is just set dressing here. I mean, the only thing going on through Tucker's mind right now is views, views, views. I'm getting views. Lovely, delicious views. Views, views, views. I can guarantee you that's pretty much the only thing going on in his head. As far as like Putin talking about like history right now, it just, as Zeus says, like dryly like going through like the history of like how Orthodox like Christianity went through Russia, which is kind of like the whole issue with like Ukraine and Russia. It's like Putin's whole idea that he needs to take over the original like mother Russian land before Ukraine was like separated off, and trying to gain that again due to like religious reasons. So, I mean, yeah, Putin is way into like his religious ideals.
The people who controlled part of power in that part of the Russian lands addressed Warsaw, claiming that some Russian ethnicity and Orthodox rulers would be sent to govern them, and Warsaw declined and rejected that, and then they turned to Moscow, so that Moscow would establish its power over them. Just, I'm not inventing things, don't you think? Just. I'll give you these documents.
It doesn't sound like you're inventing it. I'm not sure why it's relevant to what happened 2 years ago.
Well, still, these are copies from the archive with letters from Bogdan Khmelnytsky, the one who controlled.
So reading this from Air University, Putin's usage of Orthodox Christian faith and its connection to Russian history acts as a central component of his domestic and international efforts to return Russia to the glory by promoting domestic cohesion, justifying malign foreign policy actions, and generating culture friction within and amongst his Western rivals. Oh my god, those words are tiny. Understanding Putin's strategic use of religious narratives as an effective tool and influence in Russia's society today first requires consideration of the nation's spiritual past. The connection between Christianity and Russian culture dates back to 988, when Vladimir, king of Russia, accepted Christianity and established itself as a Christian nation by baptizing a large number of people in modern-day Ukraine. This religious identity grew when the following fall of the Byzantine Empire, Byzantine. I think I have like a creation of like a Byzantine lamp. Hold on, 2 seconds. Hold on. All right, sorry. I have a non-pre. Okay, yeah. Let me show you this. This is really cool. This is just like a random side note. So this isn't a fake. We had this is my roommate likes to collect things. Okay, so originally he had a Byzantine lamp, and it turned out it was fake. But this is like real. So this is a real 100% full-fledged Byzantine oil lamp. Like 100%. It's really neat. I like it. It smells like dust. It's so weird to hold like a piece of history, or like somebody else was sitting in their home making up stories about Agatha and Humphrey to this oil lamp, okay? It lives on. So cute. Yeah, it's a cute little lamp, isn't it? Anyways, so following the fall of the Byzantine Empire, Russia mythologized itself as the Third Rome. This granted Russian czars greater spiritual and political legitimacy while also imbuing the nation with a holy destiny to redeem humanity through the continuation of the Orthodox faith. So just, maybe we'll read more from this, but I just want you to keep this shit in mind. As we listen to Putin. Maybe if I rub the lamp, Humphrey and Agatha wrote, rub the lamp. Oh, lamp. If there's a genie in here, what would I wish for? It's not the right culture for a genie to be in this lamp, I don't think. But if I had a wish, end capitalism. I wish to end capitalism. That's not enough. When you make wishes, you have to like be very more thorough, because it's like, be careful what you wish for. We'll just get like pure totalitarianism or something. You don't want capitalism? That's fine. Here's fascism. Shit. Pretty much there anyways.
That part of the Russian lands that is now called Ukraine, and he wrote to Warsaw claiming that the rights to be upheld, and when he was rejected, he received a refusal, he started writing to the Tsar of Moscow, wishing to be part of the Russian lands. And there is a translation in Russian and in English probably. Russia would not accept them straight away, because they feared that a war with Poland would be unleashed. In 1654, the Zemsky Council decided that this part of the ancient Russian lands be accepted as part of the new Russian land. And the war with Poland began, and it lasted for 13 years, and afterwards a truce was enacted after the 1654 Act. 32 years afterwards, the eternal peace with Poland was established and proclaimed. And all the left bank of the Dniester River, including Kiev, Dnieper River, was part of Russia, became part of Russia, and the right bank of Dnieper became part of Poland. And under the rule of Catherine the Great, Russia returned all those historical lands of its. And that all happened and lasted till the revolution. But before World War I, using the ideas of Ukraine ethnicity and origin, the Austrian General Staff started promoting the Ukrainian origin and Ukrainian identity, because they, in the view of the First World War, they wanted to weaken the prospective enemy. And, you know, the idea that had been born in Poland, that those people residing in that territory were not specifically and wholly Russian, was later promoted by the Austrian General Staff, and theorists appeared in the 19th century upholding the independence of Ukraine. They spoke of its need to obtain independence, but all the pillars of the Ukrainian sovereignty, all the proponents, said that Ukraine was to have a very good relationship with Russia. They insisted on that. Well, after the revolution of 1917 happened, Bolsheviks tried to restore the statehood, and the civil war began, including a standoff with Poland. In 1921, the peace treaty with Poland was proclaimed, and under this treaty, the right bank of Dnieper River once again belonged to.
This is so weird. This is just really weird. I'm just like, I don't know, leave Ukraine alone? You weird spiritual bastard.
Poland. In 1939, after Poland cooperated with Hitler, and they collaborated with Hitler actually. We have all the documents in the archive, and Hitler proposed Poland a peace treaty and a friendship treaty, but he claimed that...
Spectral Deviant says, okay, I hit the like now. I'll be waiting on my free Byzantine oil lamp. Yeah, hit like right now. You're going to get a free genuine Byzantine oil lamp. Let me tell you. No, not really. I'm joking, but hit like if you can.
Poland should give the dancing corridor back to Germany, and that connected the main part of Germany with East Prussia and Königsberg. And after the First World War, that part of territory was transferred to Poland, and instead of Danzig, the city of Dansk appeared. It was renamed. So Hitler asked them to give it amicably. They refused, but still they collaborated with Hitler, and they together partitioned Czechoslovakia.
You're making a case that Ukraine, certainly parts of Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine, is in effect Russia has been for hundreds of years. Why wouldn't you just take it when you became president 24 years ago? You have nuclear weapons, they don't. If it's actually your land, why did you wait so long?
I'll tell.
That's not a bad question. I'm not going to hate that question. I'm really not. I mean, just because I hate Tucker Carlson doesn't mean, like, I'm literally going to hate everything that comes out of his mouth. Like, for the most part, I do. But that's a question, like, I think is fair to ask. Like, why not just take it over? Like, why not just take it? You get a lamp. You get a lamp. Everybody gets an authentic Byzantine oil lamp. Oh my god, this is so funny. Zeus says, I mean, they've been trying and failing to just take it for 2 years. Yeah. Let's listen. Let's listen. Let us relax our ear pussies and let it in.
I'll tell you. I'm coming to that. You know, this debriefing is coming to an end. It might be boring, but it explains many things.
How it's relevant.
It is very boring. Thank you.
Good.
You were
I'm so
boring the
gratified
fuck out
that
of
you
us.
appreciate that. So before World War II, Poland did not accept the claims of Hitler, the demands of Hitler, but participated in partitioning of Czechoslovakia, but it did not give the Danzig corridor to Germany. The Poles played too much, and, you know, as a result of that, Hitler started the war with them, against them. On the 1st of September 1939, it was Poland turned uncompromising, and Hitler had to begin with Poland and the USSR. I have read some archives. The USSR behaved in an honest way. The USSR asked Poland's permission to transit their troops through the Polish soil to help Czechoslovakia. But then
they didn't really have much options.
Soviet planes would
They didn't really have
they would
any
be
options.
down, he said. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that the war began, and Poland fell prey to their own policies against Czechoslovakia. According to the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, part of that territory now belonged to Russia, including Western Ukraine. And Russia, that was then named the USSR, came back to its historical lands.
This is sped up. I just didn't want to, like, speed it up too much. Should we try it on 1.5?
And after the victory in the Great Patriotic War, as we call World War II.
No, that's a little too fast for me. But I don't mind speeding it up a little.
all those territories were enshrined to belong to the USSR, finally and definitively. And actually, Poland, as a compensation, received.
I mean, okay. In all fairness, like, yeah, the history lesson is a bit boring, but we kind of need a little bit of context here to get into the subject. So, let's just take it.
The originally German Western lands, the eastern part of Germany, part of the eastern part of Germany, some segments. These are now western lands of Poland, and it once again received the part of the coastline of the Baltic Sea, and the Danzig once again was renamed to become.
I don't know, because like when you're talking about like countries and like leaders trying to take over other countries and whatever loose description I can give about that sort of stuff, you really do have to get into the history. I mean, something starts from somewhere. From some time. So yeah, he goes all the way fucking back to like the year 800. We got the Byzantine lamp. Take us. Oh, that'd be so cool. Oh my fuck. How cool would it be if we could go on some like magic school bus adventure? Like if I rub this lamp, this Byzantine lamp, and then we all just get transported back into time and just like look at history like fucking Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure shit. Hell yeah. I wish reality was more interesting like that. Don't you ever wish you could go on a magical adventure? Instead, I have to go to work. Instead, I have to pay my taxes.
Gdansk. So this is how the whole situation happened, and when the USSR was established in 1922, the Bolsheviks started establishing the USSR, and they established the Soviet Ukrainian Republic that was not existent before, hadn't existed before. And Stalin insisted that those republics would become autonomous entities. Unfortunately, strangely, Lenin insisted that they should have a right to withdraw and pull out of the USSR. And to unknown reasons, he transferred some of the lands to that Soviet Republic of Ukraine that belonged previously to Russia, and that became part of the Ukrainian Soviet Republic, including the Black Sea region that was conquered by Catherine the Great, and it had no
that's
bearing
what I
historically.
thought. That's exactly what I was thinking of, Mark. Mark says the modern USSR was born when Russia participated with Western Allied forces in liberating other parts of Eastern Europe from the Nazis, and then refused to give compromised territories back. Yeah, it wasn't like so. It's like he's making it seem like they had to help, but it's like, at what point are you not helping anymore? Hey, Morg. Says, hey, Jan, hey, everyone. Hello, Morg. Hello, Daddy. Hello, Mom. I'm not calling you Daddy. That's not what I mean. I was just thinking of the song Cherry Bomb. I'm not calling you Daddy. That came out. No. I was just singing a song. Oh, my fuck. You know, hello, Daddy. Hello, Mom. Cherry Bomb. Y'all know that song, right? It's a great song. Anyways, good to have you.
Bearing on Ukraine had no relations. In 1654, when Ukraine was got reunified with Russia, they were decided.
You never heard of that song, Laura? From oh shit, what's her face? I'm drawing a blank. Mark, help. Joan Jett. Like Joan Jett, and like what was that band she was in? What was the band she was in? The Runaways. The Runaways. No, it was the Runaways. Mark. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Yeah, you know it. See, I know you. Black Hearts, too. Hi, Ren. Hi, Ren. Good to see you.
size of 3 to 4 contemporary regions of
All
Ukraine.
right.
In 1654.
Back to our boring history lesson. Are you paying attention? No slacking in class, okay? This will be on the test later tonight.
You obviously have encyclopedic knowledge of this region, but why didn't you make this case for the first 22 years as president that Ukraine wasn't a real country?
Yes, the Soviet Ukraine received a great deal of territory that had never belonged to it, including the Black Sea region.
Damn.
Russia received those lands as a result, as an outcome of the Russian-Turkish wars, and they were called New Russia or Novorossiya, but that doesn't matter.
Was that at the Ottoman Empire? No, I'm getting confused.
But actually Lenin, the founder of the Soviet state, gave Ukraine its own territory, and for decades the Ukrainian Soviet Republic was part of the USSR. And to unknown reasons, the Bolsheviks promoted the Ukrainian culture and language. Ukrainization was called. And similar things were done in other Soviet republics. The ethnic profiles of those republics were raised and promoted. This is how Soviet Ukraine was created. And after the Second World War, Ukraine received part of the lands that had belonged to Poland before, and part of the land that had belonged to Hungary and Romania before. So Romania and Hungary were deprived of part of their lands, and these lands were snatched and given to Ukraine, and now they're still part of Ukraine. So in this sense, Ukraine is an artificial state that was established.
Hungary has a right to take its land back from Ukraine, and that other nations have a right to go back to their 1654 borders?
I guess I'm just naive, and perhaps I don't understand, and perhaps Putin is full of shit. But it's like, if you call your land like Ukraine, and you are Ukrainian people, like you kind of have your own culture, like, how can you say that that's not an established thing? So it's like he's saying like Ukraine doesn't actually exist, or like never has technically. So it's like, so in his mind it's like, oh, like what are these people upset? You mean like Texas? This turned out to be way funnier than I thought. I thought this was going to be a boring stream. This is hilarious. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just naive. It's like, yeah, they're people that, borders change and shift, especially in times of war. Here's these Ukrainians now. It's weird. It's like he's getting other countries involved. Like, what, do they not like them too? Am I naive here? Am I missing a lot more context to this? Do I not understand what's fully going on here? Lee says the SSR was like the United States of America, even though we're from Delaware, California, or Pennsylvania. Right. Well, yeah, I get that. That I get. But, Ukraine's really trying to be its own thing, right? Like, leave them the fuck alone. It's such a small, insignificant amount of... Not saying that Ukraine is insignificant, but I'm saying, like, in his terms, it's like, why would you... That's where I'm struggling with this, is his just determination to take this back, like, and to play into this whole like religious like shenanigans about it. Let's keep learning. You know what? That's when I'm confused and I don't know what the fuck's going on and I feel overwhelmed, I just keep at it, because eventually it's gonna stick.
Well, I'm not sure whether it should come back to the 1654, but if anyone believes, and everyone believes, that the Stalin regime rule saw a lot of violations of human rights and violation of the rights of other nations. In this sense, actually, one can state that they may have a right to claim those lands back.
Have you told Viktor Orban that he can have part of Ukraine?
Never. I've never told him. Not a single time. Never. We haven't even had any conversation on that. But I actually know for sure
Of course, the Hungarians who live over there, they want to get back to their historical land. Moreover, just an interesting anecdote, a personal one I would like to share with you, let me diverge a little bit. Somewhere in the 80s, I think I went on a road trip through the USSR from Leningrad on a car via Kiev, then I went to western Ukraine. I went to the town of Bergevoye, and all the names of the cities and towns over there are were in Russian, and also in one language I didn't understand. It was Hungarian, it was not Ukrainian. So I went through a village, and there were men sitting next to their houses, and they were wearing black suits, three-piece suits, and then in cylinder hats, and I was wondering whether those were artists, and I was told these were Hungarians, and I asked what are they doing here, and they say this is their historical land, they live here. It was during the Soviet times, the 1980s, and they had managed to preserve the Hungarian language, Hungarian names, national attire, and they felt Hungarian, and they were Hungarian. So,
and there's a lot of it, though. I think many nations are upset about Transylvania as well, as you obviously know. But many nations feel frustrated by the redrawn borders of the wars of the 20th century, and wars going back 1,000 years, the ones that you mentioned. But the fact is that you didn't make this case in public until 2 years ago, February. And in the case that you made, which I read today, you explain at great length that you felt a physical threat from the West in NATO, including...
I mean, so, like, okay, so I get it. He thinks, it's part of, like, Ukraine is technically, like, part of Russia, part of Hungary, part of, like, other things. And, like, even people living within the towns, there's, like, distinct, like, Hungary people and, like, Russian people and stuff like that. So, like, it just seems like Putin is trying to describe Ukraine as just pretty much, like, a frivolous thing. Like, it's a frivolous state. Like, it doesn't actually really exist, and it doesn't need to. But then why are the people feeling so passionate about it? Why is there people, like, fighting tooth and nail, like they're for their lives for this land that they believe in so dearly? But yet, like, here he is. Am I getting that? Is that just too much of an emotional read? Is it? I'm just thinking out loud here. Really, it's like not my conclusion. It just seems like that's what's going on here. He just feels like it's a very frivolous thing. So it's like, what the fuck are they fighting about? But you think people fighting for their lives for this land would give you a fucking clue that they want to be established to something? Hi, Susan. Mark says, no, it's a read that doesn't get into the conversation with Putin. Putin doesn't want peace. He wants a piece of everything. I mean, it's weird to hear this man rationalize attacking people. I'm just saying. It's really fucking weird. They're going to talk about Nazis. Did you know, side note, I was reading this article about, and I think we might go over it a little bit, how social media platforms are looking to ban the word Zionist as a hate word because it's getting used so much, with the controversy between Islam and Pakistan. But like Islam. Israel and Pakistan. So yeah, the term Zionist is now going to be, or is on the plate to be considered a hate word, which I think is fucking ridiculous, if you ask me, because Zionist is exactly what the Israeli government is. Sorry, did I just have an outburst? Yes, I did. They call themselves Zionists. Exactly, Susan. And that's why I'm just like, what the fuck? You're really going to ban the word Zionist as a hate word? It's not a hate word. It's a technical term, and that's what they are. God. It's like the same principle as banning the word cis. Oh, cis is a hate word. It's like, no, it's not. It's a technical term, you dumbass. Sorry. I act really, like, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, so, like, often I feel like when I act things out, it's, like, a lot more dramatic than what I'm feeling inside. Some people are the opposite. Like, they don't really act things out. I do. So, yeah. Sorry. I have outbursts, okay?
Potentially a nuclear threat, and that's what got you to move. Is that a fair characterization of what you said?
Well, yes, I understand that probably a long soliloquy does not fit the genre of an interview. So I asked whether that was a show or a serious talk, and you said it was a serious talk, so bear with me, please. So we are coming to the point where the Soviet Ukraine was established. Then in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, and everything that Ukraine had got as a gift from Russia, well, it took with it. And generally, I'm coming to the current point in time. The collapse of the Soviet Union was basically the initiative of the Russian leadership. I do not understand.
Brent says, should intelligent operatives be allowed to be world leaders? That's a good question. Zeus says, neutral language can be used hatefully, but banning the neutral words one by one won't change that. Exactly. Exactly. Because it's like, what if you're talking about Zionist in just like a neutral term? Like, hey, here's some Zionists. Like, but then you could talk about Zionist in a very, like, negative light. Those fucking Zionists. You see what I mean? Like, the context there. So it's like, how are they going to differentiate between the two? Because banning the word Zionist altogether doesn't make sense. I'm not a proponent of banning words. I think it's stupid, frankly. I think it's, you know, you can't say things like sexual salt. You can you can guess what I'm trying to say there. Like, people have to go out of their way to, like, say things like really weird. Like CP, like child corn. That sort of stuff. Like, you really have to change things. And it's like, it's not like somebody's gonna zap my, like, stream down. It's just like, it really fucks with, like where they put you in the algorithms. Like, if you start saying a bunch of these words they don't like, they're gonna push you way down and nobody's gonna, like, be able to view you. Smex instead of sex, yeah. I mean, some things you can say. YouTube's weird. So, like, YouTube, it's like within the first few minutes of the live stream, I can't say any swear words or, like, harsh words or anything, but I can say them later in the stream. They just don't like it when it's, like, right off the bat. So I can say fuck, I can say porn, I can say things like that. Unless you're really specific. Here's the thing, though. I don't market my content to minors at all. In fact, I put 18 plus on my thing. It doesn't stop minors from being able to lie about their age and see my stuff anyways, but I market as for adults for a fucking reason, because we talk about really in-depth subjects and things like that. Not that I think some teenagers would be competent and mature enough to handle some of the stuff we talk about. I'm not going to invite that in, because I do feel like I'm just more for adults than I am for kids. But if you're a channel that wants to be family friendly, there's a lot of shit you can't say. Susan says, I will be careful not to say, welcome to our fucking live stream. I could just picture Susan like, welcome fuckers, it's time for our fucking live stream. What's up, bitches? I would love that from Susan. What's up, bitches? Welcome to our fucking live stream. Oh my god. If I could just get a clip of Susan saying that, my life would be complete. Anyways, shall we get back to this? We're getting so distracted. Okay.
Understand what they were thinking back then, but I suspect that there were several elements to their rationale, several reasons. First, I believe that the then Russian leadership thought that the fundamental basic relations between Russia and Ukraine, such as common language, because 90% back then spoke Russian, familial ties, because, 1 in 3 Russians have families or some other ties in Ukraine, common culture, common history, common religion. These are fundamentals, also being in one single state for hundreds of years. These are fundamentals, just as the economic interconnections. And that is what drove the Russian leadership to think that inevitably the relations would be good between the two countries. And secondly, as an American citizen, I want you and your audience to know that the Russian leadership thought that, okay, the USSR would cease to exist, but there would be no more divisive lines of ideological nature. They also thought that Russia, voluntarily, of its own volition.
Okay. So, ideologically, we need to have our ideology completely take over their ideology, and that's the best way. There's no, combination of that to make a third thing. The word I can't think of right now. Somebody help?
Decided to dissolve the Soviet Union, thinking that the civilized West, as it were, would see that as an invitation to
synthesizing
and alliance.
There we go. No synthesizing, no nothing. How far are we into the... Hi, Elise. How far are we into this interview? We are technically 24 minutes into the interview, but this is sped up, and we keep getting distracted by hilarious shit. It's a little bit of an ADHD stream tonight. Very distracted. Mark says, "You looking at my ass? Ass looker?" That reminds me of, what am I thinking of? One of my favorite movies ever in the entire world is The Roxbury, and there's a character in there, and he's a guy that keeps, asking other people if they just touched his ass, even though it's, in a very inappropriate, time to do that, and it's, physically impossible. He'll just be like, "Hey! Did you just touch my ass?" And people will be like, No. Did anybody see that on Night at the Roxbury? That movie? It was by, Chris Kattan and, Will Ferrell. It was, I can, fucking, quote that movie from, beginning to end. If you've never seen Night at the Roxbury, you have to watch it. It is based, it's the movie Night at the Roxbury, but it's based off an NSL skit. And I think even, what's his face? Jim Carrey even, had, an SNL, skit with that, too. Cassie says we were obsessed with it for a bit in high school. I was so obsessed with it. I love that movie. It's so fucking funny. I still, you know what? I need to watch it, soon again. It's one of those movies where I could quote it every fucking line, every scene. I've seen it so much. That and Billy Madison. I don't know why. That one. I mean, I've seen plenty of Adam Sandler movies, but that particular one I can quote from beginning and end. Okay, see how we're distracted now? Okay, we gotta go back now. Reel it in. Reeling it in. Okay.
That is what Russia was expecting from the US and the collective West as a whole. There were some smart people, in particular in Germany, Egon Barth. He was a prominent politician from the Social Democratic Party, and in personal talks with the Soviet leadership before the collapse of the Soviet Union, he was insisting that a new collective security system should be established in Europe. Yes, he thought that help should be given to the reunified Germany, but also it was supposed to create a security system involving the US, Canada, and he said if NATO would expand, then it would be back during the Cold War, but only closer to Russia's border. He was very smart, but no one listened to him. And, we've got some talks from archives, and he got angry. He said, if you don't listen to us, I am never setting my foot in Moscow once again. He was very frustrated with the Soviet Union, and his prophecy came true.
Yeah, well, of course, it did come true, and you've mentioned this many times. I think it's a fair point, and many in America thought that relations between Russia and the United States would be fine with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War, that the opposite happened. But you've never explained why you think that happened, except to say that the West fears a strong Russia, but we have a strong China the West does not seem very afraid of. What about Russia do you think convinced policymakers they had to take it down?
The West is afraid of a strong China more than it fears a strong Russia, because it's just 150 million people in Russia and it's 1.5 billion people in China, and also China's economy is growing at more than 5% a year. So the potential is enormous. Bismarck used to say the most important thing is the potential, and China potentially is the biggest economy in the...
I don't know. China's fucking weird. China is fucking weird because, they got a lot of great things going for them, and they also don't. I mean, first of all, they don't have Google. I don't know. It's just really weird. I guess if you really want to escape from Western culture entirely, you would go to China, but, I don't know. So odd. So odd, the whole dichotomy of Western and Eastern culture. It's you either have to do the one or the other, and it's do we really have to do that? Call me naive and silly minded, but it's kind of weird to be stuck in this false dichotomy of just East and West, and it's forget it.
The world in terms of purchasing parity. It's outstripped the US. But let's not talk about who is afraid of whom. Let's not talk in such terms. Let's get back to the fact that after 1991, when Russia expected that it would be inducted into the brotherly nation of civilized nations, it didn't happen. Well, you tricked us. Well, I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about the US. We were promised that NATO would not expand eastwards, but there were 5 waves of expansion. And we bore with that. We tolerated that. We were trying to reason with them because we were saying, we are like you right now. We are, a capitalist economy. Let's come to terms. Let's find an agreement. Let's look at Yeltsin times. There was a moment when, the gray cat crossed our path, as it were. Yeltsin came to the US, he spoke in Congress, he said the good words, and these were the signals. These were the signals telling you, let us in. But then, remember the developments in Yugoslavia. Before that, Yeltsin was lavished with praise, but then he raised his voice in support of Serbs, and we couldn't but do that. Yes, I understand there were some complex processes underway, but Russia couldn't help raising its voice in support of Serbia because Serbia is a brotherly nation, also an Orthodox culture. So Yeltsin spoke in favor of Serbia. But what did the US do? In violation of international law and the UN Charter, they started bombing Belgrade and the US, and it was the US that let the gin out of the bottle. Moreover, when Russia was indignant, when it was protesting, it was told that the international law and the UN Charter had become obsolete. Right now they're all referring to international law, but back then they were saying that the international law was obsolete. Yes, some things need to be changed, but not in this manner. And then Yeltsin came under heavy criticism. He was accused of alcoholism, of understanding nothing. He understood everything. Okay, I became president in 2000, and I thought, okay, Yugoslavia is a thing of the past. Let's give a shot at rebuilding the relations. Let's reopen the door that Russia had tried to go through. Moreover, I said that publicly, and I can reiterate. There was a meeting here in the Kremlin with the outgoing President of the US, Bill Clinton. We sat in the room next door, and I told him, Bill, what do you think? If Russia asked to be admitted into NATO, do you think it would happen? He said, it's interesting. I think yes. But in the evening, when we had another meeting for dinner, he said, I've talked to my team. No, not going to happen, not now. So you can ask him. I think he'll watch this interview. I wouldn't have said anything like that if it hadn't happened.
Were you sincere Would you have joined NATO?
Listen, I asked a question. I said, is it possible? And the answer was no.
But if he had said yes, would you have joined NATO?
If he had said yes, then the process of rapprochement would have commenced, and it might...
I call bullshit. Sus. That seems weird to me. I don't think they would. No, I don't. I don't think Russia wants to be part of NATO. I'm sorry. Every bone of my body is like, no.
Might have happened in the end if there were some sincere wish on this side of our partners, but it didn't happen. Okay.
Why do you think that is? Just to get to motive. I know you're clearly bitter about it. I understand. But why do you think the West rebuffed you then? Why the hostility? Why did the end of the Cold War not fix the relationship? What motivates this from your point of view?
You said that I feel bitter because of that rebuffal. No, that's not bitter.
I mean, all I can fucking do is speculate what Putin is thinking and feeling, obviously. Like, I'm not a mind reader. I'm not a body language, like, analyst, like, but it just seems really weird and shady that he would ask the question, like, oh, if would you accept us into NATO? And then Tucker's like, well, would you want to be in there? And there's just, like, some weird hesitancy. I feel like there was a lot more to be said to that than not. And because it wasn't said, it's what wasn't said that concerns me more than what he's saying, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm not a history major. I'm not like an expert in history, but I know a fucking enough, okay? We covered like the World Wars very well in high school. Yes, even though it was a shitty high school, like we still covered it pretty thoroughly. I just really don't think Russia wants to be a part of NATO. I'm sorry.
I'm just stating the facts, because, you know, we're not bride and groom. These are not the terms we've got to use in speaking about such matters. We understood that they were not expecting us there. Okay, we said, let's build relations in another manner. Let's look for common ground elsewhere. Why we got that negative...
I mean, Putin's reasoning is interesting. He really, I mean... He's well put together, and for fuck's sakes, Tucker Carlson is just sitting there like a fucking useless idiot. And then we're getting this whole history lesson from Putin. So, I mean, it's not like... But that's the thing about these, like, big, cunning leaders, is that, yeah, they are good with their words. They are well put together. They're very good speakers. That's why they're so convincing. I just don't find any redeeming qualities about Putin at all. I mean, I truly do believe he is an evil man.
Response, you should ask your government. I could only guess it would be too big of a country with its own opinion. Well, I saw how NATO solves and settles matters. Just an example I would like to cite. It applies to Ukraine. You know, the U.S. says
NATO
something
is terrible. No, NATO's got some blood on its hands. Okay. NATO isn't perfect. Yeah, that's a good point, Zeus. Just kind of just see what the initial action is, or reaction is. NATO isn't perfect, though. NATO is not like this angelic fucking perfect thing that's going on that's helping everybody and everything they do is wonderful. No. I'm doing that awkward laugh, like, oh my god, look at my face. Just look at my face just now. It's awful. Chad, don't look at your face when you do that. No, the baby penguins. Okay, remember that I do a palate cleanser at the end of every live stream now, and I talk about a really cool, like, science discovery or something just fun, and tonight is baby penguins, so hold tight. We will get through this. I don't know if I want to listen to this whole fucking thing. Can we speed it up a little bit more? Let's see. I knew tonight was mostly going to be this.
The rest just tune in and they follow and they wake. I'm not going to open any secret to you or say anything new, but, after that conversation, we made different attempts at building relations. Just to cite an example, during the events in the Middle East and Iraq, we were building our relations with the US in a very prudent, cautious manner, and I always asked the US not to support separatism in the Northern Caucasus, but they still continued with that financial information support, even military support. And that support was flowing in from the US and from its satellites, support towards terrorist bands in the Northern Caucasus. I once talked to a colleague of mine, a president of the US, and I raised that issue, and he said, it's impossible. He said, do you have proof? And I said, yes, I have proof, and I gave that proof to him. And do you know what his response would be? He said, I would give him a good thrashing. That's what he said.
Oh, okay.
He said, and we were waiting for some response, reply, and I asked a colleague from FSB, to contact his counterpart in the US. And we've got the response, basically, from the CIA and the archives. And the response goes as follows. So, yes, we have worked with the opposition forces in Russia, and we think it's the right thing to do, and we will continue doing that. Just ridiculous. We understood that no serious conversation could be...
Forces in opposition to you. So you're saying the CIA is trying to overthrow your government?
Well, of course, in that particular case, what they meant were the separatists, the terrorists that were fighting us in the Northern Caucasus. That is who they called the opposition. That's the second moment. Another aspect, also very important. I'm talking about the setting up of the US ABM system. The very beginning of that, we long tried to persuade them not to do that. I got an invitation from Bush Sr. He invited me to visit his place on the ocean, and we had a very serious conversation with President Bush, with his team. So I proposed the following. I said, the US, Russia, and Europe should set up a joint shared ABM system against the threats against our security. Even though, the official statement of the US was that the ABM system they were setting up was against Iran, the threat of Iran. So I suggested, why not join forces together, the US, Russia, and Europe? And I got a very interesting response. They asked me, are you serious?
Let me ask, what year was this?
Well, I don't remember. We can look it up on the internet when I was in the US at the invitation of Bush Sr. And it's easier to learn from someone I'm going to tell you about in a sec. And they told me, yes, that is a very interesting proposal. And so I said, just imagine if we can solve this strategic task together. The world would change. Yes, we would probably have differences, economic differences, political differences, but we would...
A little uncomfortable for me to think about an intelligence agent becoming like a political figure, because it's like he knows things. And so there's like when you're an intelligence agent, you know shit, but then when you're a political figure, you say bullshit, right? So when you know shit and then you're in a position of saying bullshit, that seems a little conflicting to me, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to explain it in really simple terms. That just doesn't seem right. Exactly. Bush Sr. was CIA before his presidency. Again, this seems weird, right? We can all get that, right? We can all get that. God, I have to pee again, but I don't want to.
Drastically change the situation of the world. And they asked me, are you serious? And I said, yes. They said, we need some time to think. And I said, okay, go ahead. And then, at this very room where we're talking, we got former CIA Director Gates and also State Secretary Rice. They sat here opposite from me at this table. We had Defense Minister, Foreign Minister, and the guest said, yes, we've thought about that, but we disagree.
So twice you've described US presidents making decisions and then being undercut by their agency heads. So it sounds like you're describing a system that's not run by the people who are elected, in your telling.
Yes, exactly. So yes, they just rebuffed us. I'm not going to reveal all the details because that was a confidential conversation, but our proposal was declined. It's a fact. And I said, okay, listen, but in that case, we'll have to come up with a response, and we'll have to come up with offensive systems that are capable of overcoming your ABM systems. And they said, your systems are not against you, and we'll assume that yours are not against us. And we had to come up with the hypersonic intercontinental missiles, and we continue to develop this technology, and we are ahead everyone in the world in terms of hypersonic offensive systems. And day in, day out, we are perfecting these systems. We proposed that another path should be followed, but our proposal was rejected. Now, as for the NATO expansion eastwards, they promised us that they wouldn't move an inch to the east, but it was not enshrined on paper. So there were 5 waves of expansion. And the Baltic states did join, and Eastern Europe in general. And now I'm coming to the crux of the matter. They came to Ukraine. In 2008, at the Bucharest summit, a statement was made saying that the doors were open to Georgia and Ukraine to join NATO. Now, as far as decisions are made in NATO, Germany, France allegedly were against, some other countries, European countries. But, you know, President Bush is a very tough guy. And as I was told afterward, I was told that he had exerted pressure on them, and they had...
How old is Putin? How old is Putin? Oh God, he's like in his 70s. You know, looks pretty good for a 70-year-old. Not gonna lie. Doesn't look too bad. I would have pinned him for like maybe 60s, like mid-60s, but being in your 70s, I mean... maybe early 60s, I don't know. But I guess he's been around. Jesus Christ.
to acquiesce. So it's like in a kindergarten, you know, where are the guarantees? Who are they? You know, they got under some pressure and they had to agree. Okay, but then they say, Ukraine is never going to join NATO. And I say, I know that you agreed to open the doors to Ukraine in 2008. There is no guarantee that you're not going to do the same sometime in the future. So I don't know whom to talk to over there. We are willing to talk, but who to? What are the guarantees? No guarantees at all.
And they started entering the Ukrainian soil. This was the for history about how that territory developed and what relationship they had with Russia. Each second or third person they has had ties with Russia. So when the elections happened in the new sovereign Ukraine as a result of the Declaration of Independence of Ukraine, that said that Ukraine was a neutral state, but all of a sudden in 2008, NATO doors were opened to that. So it's so interesting, but we hadn't agreed to that. We didn't come to terms on that. All presidents that rose to power in Ukraine relied on voters, on the electorate. That
Wait a minute. So he's saying that he didn't agree with NATO that Ukraine should be offered a position on NATO? Is that what I'm getting? Why the fuck would he care? Ew, this is so gossipy.
had a good relationship and a good attitude to Russia. The southeast of Ukraine had always had a good attitude to Russia. And, you know, it was very difficult to dissuade this electorate. And Mr. Yanukovych rose to power afterwards there. He won the election after Kuchma. The rerun was organized. That was not enshrined in the Ukrainian constitution. This was a coup, actually a coup d'etat. Just imagine someone in the United States wouldn't like the outcome. No, prior to that, before. So after President Kuchma retired, Yanukovych won the election, but his opponents did not acknowledge his victory, and the United States backed the opposition, and a rerun was held, which actually was virtually a coup d'etat, and the United States backed that. And as a result of this rerun, like fancy someone doesn't like the outcome of the American election, and a rerun happens that is not enshrined in the American Constitution. So Viktor Yushchenko rose to power in Ukraine. He was a pro-Western politician. Well, anyway, we established some working contacts with him. He came to visit us, and we went to Kiev. We had meetings informally also. Well, let them be pro-Western, okay? Let them do what they want.
I mean, it's true. Lee's right. There are just like weird American like bases around the world that we just pay like a bunch of fucking like tax dollars to fund. And it's really frustrating. I mean, it's the old shindig and the argument of just like we spend all this money on these like frivolous war efforts when like the American people themselves are suffering and are in need of healthcare and things like that. Like that I'm totally in tune with. We're getting there. We're like almost halfway through.
They should have their own domestic developments independently. After he ruled that country, things deteriorated there, and as a result, Yanukovych once again came to power. He may not have been the best president. I'm not sure I would like to give any assessments, but the matter of the association with the...
That's such a good point, Zeus. He didn't want a NATO country sharing a border with Russia. That's what he had a problem with. Now that Finland has joined in response to the attack on Ukraine, oops. Because Finland does share a border with Russia, doesn't it? Because Russia's fucking huge. World map. Google Maps. Eh. I almost just fucking doxed myself. Straight up. Why is Google Maps being so slow? Yeah, straight up. I like that. Thank you, Zeus. Zeus, you've been very, very, informative here. So, we got Finland right next to Russia. Yup. Oops. Oops. I like that. I have to pee, but I don't want to. I want to get through this.
He was brought up, we always were quite loyal on that. Okay, but when we read the draft agreement, it turned to be a problem for us because us and Ukraine had a free trade area, an open customs borders, and Ukraine had, according to that association agreement, opened their borders to Europe, and that would flow to our market, duty-less. And then we said we'll close our borders with Ukraine, our customs. And Yanukovych started doing his reckoning and counting whether Ukraine will lose or gain, and he stated to his Ukrainian counterparts that he had to think, and destructive opposition activity began straight away, and it ended up with Maidan, with a coup d'etat in Ukraine.
So he did more trade with Russia than with the EU? Ukraine did?
Yes, of course, of course. It's not about the volumes of trade, the quantities. It's about the cooperation ties that the Ukrainian economy relied upon. And those cooperation ties between enterprises and factories had been there since the Soviet times. Like an enterprise would produce components for final assembly, both plants in Ukraine and Russia. And there was very close cooperation, but a coup d'etat happened afterwards. It was perpetrated, unfortunately. Well, I wouldn't like to speak of details, but the United States said, you calm Yanukovych down and you would mollify the opposition. They said, let it drift, they said, towards a political settlement. We said, okay, we are in agreement with that, let it be so. And Yanukovych checked to apply for armed forces or police, while the armed opposition in Kiev perpetrated a coup d'etat. How can I reckon that and assess that? Who are you, I asked the United
With
States.
the backing of whom?
With the backing of CIA. Definitely, this is an entity that you wanted to become part of. Thanks goodness you were not accepted. Although it's a serious entity. My ex-counterparts, I worked in the first office, main directorate of the Soviet intelligence service, and they were our opponents. Well, this is work. Well, technically, they did the right thing. They attained what they wanted, the outcomes they wanted. They changed the power in Ukraine, but politically it was a blunder.
I'm thinking about the James Bond movie, From Russia with Love. Does anybody ever get into James Bond movies? And I don't mean the new ones. I mean the old classics with Sean Connery and Timothy Dalton and oh God, what was his face? Who else was a James Bond? He did most of them. Oh, James Bond actors. Roger Moore. Roger Moore was the best fucking James Bond actor ever, and I will fight you to the death about it. Sean Connery was good, don't get me wrong. No, I don't like Pierce Brosnan. I thought he sucked. Roger Moore was the best. The fucking best. Did he do with From Russia? No, From Russia with Love was with Sean Connery. I think that was the second one. I think the first one was like Goldfinger. No, it was Dr. No, I think. And then like Goldfinger. Anyways, I really love old James Bond movies. I've seen them all. Fucking love them. I don't like any of the new ones. I don't. I am a snob. Like, I am just so snobbish. Anyways, I don't know why I was thinking that. Okay, I really do have to pee. Like, come back. I think when I come back from peeing, we might skip ahead a little bit. It depends on how you guys feel. Why don't you, while I'm going to pee, why don't you tell me in the chat, should we finish this? Or do you want to tell me, like, are we getting the message? Like, let me know. Because I do kind of want to listen to more of this, but it's like, I kind of want to skip ahead. I don't know. Like, let me know. It's a long interview, though. We've been into this, like, what? God, almost 2 hours now? Holy shit. All right, let me pee. Pee. Alright. Cassie's like, honestly, I can't stay focused on any of this. I'm focused on this, but it's just so drawn out. You know what I mean? It's like, I thought there would be more, like, juicy questions with juicy answers, not just sort of this, it's really dry, you know? Susan says, I love the pea screens. Thank you. Alright, let's continue for a bit.
A colossal blunder, and the political leadership probably should have calculated otherwise, and they were to have thought what it would lead to. In 2008, they opened doors of NATO to Ukraine. In 2014, a coup d'etat was perpetrated with their help, and this was a coup d'etat, and those who did not recognize this coup d'etat were persecuted, and they created a threat to Crimea and had to take Crimea under our protectorate. They began warfare in Donbass, applying artillery and aviation against civilians in Donbass. We have the footages with fighter jets bombing Donetsk, flying over that, and they had a major military operation. They failed and had another one and another one against the backdrop of military development of that territory of NATO and open doors of NATO. So we actually had to express our concerns, otherwise it would be negligence, criminal negligence on our part. It would have been criminal negligence because the American leadership, political leadership, drove us to the borderline.
Yo, Putin, the last thing on your mind is fucking criminal negligence, avoiding criminal negligence. Come on, dude, you literally slaughter people.
That we could not overstep, and that would destroy Russia, and we had to support our creed mates, our faith mates.
What was but that was 8 years before the current conflict started. So what was the trigger for you? What was the moment where you decided you had to do this?
Well, the trigger was the coup d'etat in Ukraine, and representatives of 3 European nations came then, Germany, Poland and France, and they acted as guarantors of the agreement subscribed between Yanukovych and the opposition, and they put their signatures as guarantors. Despite that, the opposition perpetrated that coup, and these countries pretended they were not the guarantors. They were oblivious, and they threw it to the dustbin. I'm not sure whether there is any knowledge in the United States about the guarantors and this agreement between opposition and the Yanukovych government. And instead of a political settlement, they supported the coup, they backed the coup. There was no point in that, actually, believe me, because Yanukovych agreed to everything, and he was ready for early election, and he would not had no chance to succeed.
I don't know, I feel like this is really hypocritical when he's talking about, like, coups and shit. Like, I mean, motherfucker, you coup and shit all the time.
To win. Why then perpetrate this coup and all those victims? And why pose a threat to Crimea and launch an operation against Donbass? I cannot understand that. I cannot fancy this is the miscalculation of theirs, and the CIA did its part, played its part. One of the deputies of Secretaries of State said that they spent around $5 billion on that. But why do that? Why have they done that? It could have been done legally, legitimately, and without the loss of Crimea for them. And we wouldn't stir a finger. We wouldn't have stirred a finger had there not happened the developments, the bloody developments on Maidan. We back then agreed that after the collapse of the USSR, the borders would be as agreed as stated, but we never agreed to an expansion of NATO or that Ukraine would become part of NATO. We never conceded and accepted that there would be NATO military bases there without any talks with us. We kept begging for decades, don't do this, don't do that. This actually acted as a trigger to the recent development, and with respect to the recent development, the leadership of Ukraine stated they would not abide by the Minsk Accords that were signed after the developments of 2014 in Minsk, with a plan laid out for peaceful settlement in Donbass. And the today's Ukrainian leadership, their foreign minister and other officials and the president said they didn't like a thing about the Minsk.
Yeah, I think, like Laura's saying, like, he's saying everything he's done was somebody else's fault. Like, pretty much, like, everything, like, it's like, well, this country did this and they did this, so we had to do this. It's like, really? You had to? And what boils down to his reasonings for everything is his original, like, religious beliefs, and that, like, Ukraine is part of the original Mother Russia.
Package of measures, and they would not
So
stick to them. And the
he
former
definitely
leaders of France and
feels
Germany
religiously
said that
entitled
about a
to
year
this
ago,
land.
said
I
in
mean,
public
that's the whole
worldwide
point.
that they had signed that agreement, but they had not been going to execute to fulfill that. You know, they pulled our leg.
Was there anyone for you to talk to? Did you call a U.S. President, Secretary of State, and say, if you keep militarizing Ukraine with NATO forces, we're going to act?
We kept telling them that. We kept telling them that. We addressed the American leadership and the European leaders, claiming that it be stopped immediately and the Minsk Accords were to be executed. It was our requirement, our demand. I was ready to fulfill, to honor. This is not an easy thing for Ukraine, with lots of autonomy for Donbass. But I was positive. It was my sincere belief that if we would persuade those people living in Donbass to come back to the Ukrainian statehood, and they had to be persuaded, the wounds would heal, I was sure, and sooner or later, gradually, that part of the Ukrainian territory would fit back into the overall frame of reference of Ukrainian pensions and allowances would be paid once again. But no one wanted that in Ukraine. They wanted to act with the help of military force only. And it ended up with this situation, and they stated in Ukraine we would not fulfill the package of measures, and they started the war back in 2014. And our goal, our aim is to stop this war. We didn't launch it back in 2014. We're now trying to stop that.
I mean, have you achieved your aims?
No!
No, at this point of time we have not, because one of the goals is the denazification, to denazify Ukraine. I mean, the prohibition of neo-Nazi movements in Ukraine. This is one of...
Well, this brings up a good point, Zeus. Zeus says his religious beliefs are entirely cultural, though, and I'm 100% sure he's an atheist. Same outcomes, though. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Because you want to sit here and say that religion is like the number one cause of like wars and conflict and stuff. But it's also the ego of like leaders. It's the drive for power. And I think that goes hand in hand. I think in some cases it is religion at the center that drives these actions. But I also think it's the power that drives the actions, and it's the religion that's being used as a tool. Religion is used as a tool to accomplish things. Not all the cases. And I think there's a lot of gray area when it comes to a desire for power and power through like religion. I think there's a bit of a gray area there. Ego for the leaders, religion for the masses. That's an interesting point, because this is where I want to say plainly that religion is being used as a tool. But I also know that religion is the driving force of motivation behind some people as well. But the more I look into these worldwide issues, the more I think religion isn't necessarily the heart of war and conflict, of all war and conflict across the board. I think in most cases it is secondary and it's used as a tool. But first and foremost, it's ego, and it's a desire for power and control.
The issues that we discussed that was brought up during negotiations in Istanbul last year, at the outset of last year. Upon our initiative, it was concluded, as the Europeans told us, that the context had to be established and provided for the final definitive signature of documents. And my colleagues in France and Germany told me, just imagine how are they going to sign this at gunpoint? You should move your troops, pull your troops back from Kiev. As soon as we pulled our troops back from the Kyiv region, all of a sudden, straight away, our Ukrainian counterparts, our negotiators, threw all the accords and wasted them into the dustbin, and they got ready for a long-standing standoff and military opposition with the help of the United States. This is how things developed.
So, but what is denazification? What would that mean?
Well, I'm coming to that. It is a very important question, a pertinent. Denazification, after the start of its independence, after they obtained the independence, Ukraine started looking for its identity, and it could not invent anything better than putting ahead of anything else, the fake, the false heroes that collaborated with Hitler. I have already said that in early 19th century, the theorists of a future prospective Ukrainian independence appeared. They assumed that an independent Ukraine was to have a good relationship with Russia. But in the course of the historical development, and those territories were part of Poland, Ukrainians were persecuted, and this identity was pressed upon, the crackdown upon, and that all remained in people's memory. And once World War II began, part of that far right or far nationalist elite began to collaborate with Hitler, thinking that Hitler would bring them freedom. And the German troops, the SS troops, did the filthiest part of the job to eliminate Poles and Jews, and they did it with the hands of the collaborators, of those collaborators, and that massacre of the Poles and the Jews, of Russians, happened as a result. It was led by Bandera, Shushkevich, and other characters well known, and those people are now presented as national heroes, and they kept telling everybody that, nationalism is existent in other countries. There are sprouts, definitely, but, they're trampled upon in many countries, but not in Ukraine. In Ukraine, they're converted in national heroes. They're turned into national heroes, and monuments are erected to them. They are put on banners, and their names are chanted by the torch processions across the country, but those had annihilated, eliminated, exterminated Poles and Russians and Jews, and probably this glorification should come to an end. Any nation, I'm saying that they're part of Russian people. They're saying that we're a separate nation. If they believe to be a separate nation, they have a right to think so. Not, however, building upon the Nazi ideology. Like, look at the French president.
Would you be satisfied with the territory that you have now?
Did you not listen to the whole part?
You asked me about neo-Nazism and denazification. So, the Ukrainian president came to visit Canada. It is well known, but it is hushed in the West, and they introduced a person to the...
I have to be honest and say I don't know enough about Ukrainians and Nazism. I really don't know. Let's see. I mean, I'm definitely seeing some information about, neo-Nazism and Ukrainians. Interesting. Right. Yes, Ukraine. Ukraine. did have a lot to do with Nazism in the Second World War. And reinforced by religious prejudice, anti-Semitism turned violent in the first days of the German attack on the Soviet Union. Some Ukrainians derived nationalist resentment from the belief that the Jews had worked for the Polish landlords. The NKVD prisoner massacres by Soviet secret police while they related eastward were blamed on Jews. The anti-Semitic canon of Jewish Bolshevism provided justification for the revenge killings by the ultra-nationalist Ukrainian People's Militia, which accompanied German German word I can't pronounce, moving east. Interesting. Okay, well, but, like, I don't know. I have nothing to say on that.
Canadian Parliament, and that person, as the Speaker of the Canadian Parliament said, that this person waged warfare against Russians during World War II. And who were those who...
I don't know if World War II affiliation with Nazi. Yeah, sure, there's Ukrainians that are neo-Nazis, but there's neo-Nazis in America. So because there's neo-Nazis in America, should we not be our own country? That doesn't... Is that the wrong kind of logic I'm thinking here? Do you see where I'm trying to get at? Is that like a very naive proposition that I'm putting out there? Like I get it's not, neo-Nazism isn't good, but is just because some Ukrainians are neo-Nazis, I don't know. Are they mostly neo-Nazis? But that was that was literally under German influence, though. Yeah, they did collaborate with the German military and Nazis. They collaborated with the Nazis because I feel like at the time, perhaps, that was their choice. They were trying to become their own country, and they thought under Hitler that would be the best way to do it. That was probably their only way out, they felt. Not trying to justify it, but hey, those were the times.
Waged war against Russians, Hitler and his collaborators. And it turned out that he was part of the SS troops. He personally killed and slaughtered the Russians and the Poles. And the SS troops made out of Ukrainian nationalists did the dirty and filthy job. And the Ukrainian president rose together with the rest of Parliament of Canada. And he applauded this person. How can you imagine? How can you fancy that?
And the Russian authorities have always cherished the culture and the religions of peoples admitted into the fold of the Russian state, which served as the cornerstone of security and stability of the Russian nation, of the Russian people, because all peoples, almost all people...
Alright, I'm gonna call it. I honestly just don't have patience for the rest of this interview. I mean, it just seems to me like a shit fuck ton of Putin propaganda, and him just, talking about justifying his actions with just a lot of, dry, intricate historical facts and leadings up to, why he's doing the things he's doing. But, it's just, what's it really doing for us right now? Neo-Nazism is a slim and frightening minority activity in Ukraine. Yeah, it's a slim and frightening minority activity here in America, too. Neo-Nazism, sadly, is everywhere. It's everywhere. And I've seen it happen to the best fucking people. You know, I've seen it happen to people I care about. Like, this shit just happens. Neo-Nazism is, you can find it in any fucking where. Anywhere in the world. It's just there. Like a fucking virus and a disease. But, let's see. Anybody have any wrap-up thoughts about this interview? Because I figure let's move on. Mark says it's like characterizing the USA in the 21st century in terms of how many KKK members were old Southerner Democrats during the Reconstruction and Jim Crow eras. Yeah, see that's just like was a weird point I think that Putin brought up. He's like, oh well, there's neo-Nazism. It's like, okay, and is there not Nazism in Russia too? Because I'm pretty sure there's some fucking Russians who are into that shit. You might not know about them. Like, you can find that shit everywhere. Everywhere. You're going to find a neo-Nazi somewhere. There is a reason the USSR is no longer. It's not mainstream politics there at all. Nah. It really isn't. Oh, hey, MC. Okay, yeah, Lee's like, what happens when Zionists control the country? I mean... Well, here's something fun. Let's talk about Taylor Swift and Joe Biden. So apparently, Taylor Swift is a psyop, some people believe. Like a complete... total and complete psyop here. Also, I was trying to find it, and for some reason I can't, but I swear to God I heard this somewhere, that there are some people out there that believe Taylor Swift is Joe Biden. Like, they think, like, she actually is Joe Biden, because they're like, oh, you never seen him in any pictures together. And, like, I don't know, it's so weird. Taylor Swift is Joe Biden. I swear to God I heard that. But the only conspiracy I'm finding now is that she's actually a psyop implanted to swing or sway the election right now. I've also heard that, like, people are saying Joe Biden is played by Jim Carrey. Like, a lot of people think Joe Biden isn't real. It's just, like, played by, like, Jim Carrey or Taylor Swift or something. I'm not even fucking kidding. Like, there are people out there like that. So... U.S. right-wing conspiracy theory claims Taylor Swift is an election psyop. All right, listen up, folks. Far-right influencers claim singer is a Pentagon asset, conspiring to manipulate voters after rigged Super Bowl favors Chiefs. Plus, documents show fossil fuel industry knew of climate danger as early as 1954. This shit makes me laugh. Laura is Joe Biden. Don't blow the cover! Good morning. Taylor Swift is a Pentagon asset, an election interference psyop who, with unnamed left-leaning forces, has conspired to rig the Super Bowl and then endorse Joe Biden in the presidential election. My God, what has the world come to? That's according to a raft of influential right-wing figures who have begun to spread a conspiracy theory that the singer is part of a nefarious plot ahead of November's election. Swift has found herself at the center of the right-wing commentariat's attention in recent weeks after intense media focus on her relationship with Travis Kelce, a star tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs football team. She has been seen in the crowd as the Chiefs have progressed through the NFL playoffs on Sunday. The team won the AFC Championship game and will play in the Super Bowl on 11th February. The attention their romance has received has led to a number of conspiracy theories. My God. Are you clutching your pearls? Everybody grab your pearls. A bipartisan group of U.S. senators introduced a bill yesterday that would criminalize the spread of non-consensual sexualized images generated by artificial intelligence wait. Oh, why else is Swift in the news? Okay. The measure comes in direct response to the proliferation of pornographic AI-made images of Taylor Swift in post on X, formerly known as Twitter, in recent days. Will social media platforms now start taking AI-generated porn seriously? Women who have been victims of a creation and sharing of non-consensual deepfake pornography hope that this week's spotlight on the issue will force the media companies and legislations to act. Honestly, I mean, that kind of seems like a side note. It's kind of weird we're talking about this psyop about Taylor Swift, like, swaying the polls. But then, like, we're now talking about this random side issue of, like, there being, like, deep fake porno made of Taylor Swift, and that's actually leading to, like, an introduced bill, which I think should be put into place, okay? If we're talking about AI-generated images of, like, girls and, like, putting them into, like, pornographic situations, I think that's really fucking wrong. In fact, I think it was last year, I was watching one of my favorite ASMR artists, she's a very young, beautiful gal, and she does ASMR, and, like, all of her content is wholesome and lovely and pure, and then she actually had to come out and talk about, like, how people were making deep fake pornography of her. And I thought that was just so fucking insidious. Like, here's this girl, all she does is ASMR, she helps you go to sleep, she's very lovely, very, like, a very modest, you know, like, lovely family-friendly gal, and there's somebody out there taking her face and making fucking pornography of it. Like, that's just insane. I think that's insane. Honestly, if somebody made porno of me, I would laugh. Like, that would be fucking funny. To me. Like, I could totally get why it's invasive and, like, other people don't want it, but if somebody happened to do it to me in particular, I'm like, really? This is what you want? Okay. But yeah, I definitely don't agree with that. Okay, what the fuck is this article going into? What is this article going into? Now we're going into, like, Israeli stuff? That's so weird. What does that have to do with fucking... Oh, is that the end? Yeah, that is the end. I hate it when article things do that. When was this posted? 29 minutes ago. January 29, 2024. This is so confusing. What does Taylor Swift have to do with any of this? I'm so confused. Why is this the world right now? Why is this reality? Why am I me? Why am I in this body? Why am I sitting at this desk? Why am I here at this computer? Why is this happening? What is this world? I'm having an existential crisis right now, okay? I don't know what's happening. I don't even know questions. Just what? What? As former President Donald J. Trump speeds towards Republican nomination, President Biden is moving quickly to pump energy into his re-election bid, kicking off what is likely to be an ugly, dispiriting, and historically long slog to November between two unpopular nominees. After months of languid build-up, what is this writer? This writer needs to take a chill pill. In which he held only a single public campaign event, Mr. Biden has thrown a series of rallies across battle states, warning that democracy itself is at stake in 2024. He sent two of his most trusted White House operatives to take the helm of his re-election campaign in Wilmington, Delaware, after Mr. Trump seized control of the Republican primary race more rapidly than Mr. Biden's advisors had initially expected, and other Biden aides are drafting wish lists of potential surrogates, including elected officials, social media influencers, and endorsement of their wildest dreams, the global superstar Taylor Swift. Okay, so like what? So pretty much the gab is that Biden is so desperate to win this election that he's now reaching out to Taylor Swift, who has endorsed him in the past in 2020. I think she's trying to maybe, I don't know if she's agreed to endorse him now. She has a lot of following. I mean, let's face it. If anybody has some power in the world, it's Taylor Swift. If you want to talk about people in power, you really don't have to be like a secret agent or like a fucking like political figure. Like, you can just be Taylor Swift, which frankly, at this point in time, with the way the fucking homeless has been going, I'll take Taylor Swift over anybody else right now, frankly. Because I'm just sick of this shit. Let's see. It's game on. The beginning of the general election, said Representative Ann McLean Custer of New Hampshire, the chair of whatever these descriptions. We've got to win this. In a race without historical parallel, a contest between two presidents, one of them facing 91 criminal charges, Mr. Biden is making... Wait, who's facing 91 criminal charges? I'm pretty sure that's Trump. Anyways, Mr. Biden is making an extraordinary gamble, betting that Mr. Trump remains such an animated force in American life that the nation's current leader can turn the 2024 election into a referendum, not on himself, but on his predecessors. Dude, this writer is like... I can't deal with this writer. I cannot deal with this writer. Like, who wrote this? Who wrote this? I want to shame them. Who did this? Who wrote this? By these people? I don't know. This sucks. I mean, I guess. I mean, if it's true, like if Taylor Swift was like, "Hey, everybody vote Biden right now," I think a lot of people fucking would. I don't know how that's gonna overturn the election. I guess that could be Biden's only saving grace right now. How are the polls going? My God, I am so like out of touch with the polls right now. I don't even know what's what. All I want to do is get to the baby penguins. Let's just check out the president polls. Where's the thing? You know, I've been seeing people make jokes about, like, it's easy for Biden to run when he's, like, not fucking running against anybody. It's true. You know, I don't fucking like Nikki Haley, but she could have a chance. I mean, if there had... I don't like anybody. I just don't like anybody. Like, I can't even begin to, like, justify anybody. Where's the points? Where's the pointy points? I don't care. Do we care? Do we care? I don't know. Meh. Oh, Jesus. It's so dismal. Frankly, it's just overwhelming. Meh. What time is it? We've been going at this shit for 2 hours and two and a half hours. Dude, is it time for penguins? Are we ready for penguins? Are we ready for our palate cleanser? Is it time for the penguins? Have we had enough of Putin and Tucker and fucking Biden and Taylor Swift psyops? Like, are we just... Loppy, where's my rational support unicorn? Okay. I got Loppy here. We're here with Loppy. Loppy is my rational support unicorn. He helps me stay rational. Loppy, help me. Help us. Is it time for penguins? Loppy says it's time for penguins. It's time for penguins? Yes. Loppy says it's time for penguins. Okay. One popular Taylor Swift conspiracy claims that she has no belly button. I knew it. Alright, done with my root beer. Okay, I have a beer. A singular beer. Let's do it. Look at the penguins. I need, like, I don't know. This is... What is this world? I seriously am having, like, an existential crisis. Like, some of the shit I cover, like, I just step back and I'm like, what is this world we live in? Like, what is this place? And how can I make it better? Like, that's, like, my urgent feeling is, like, how can we fucking fix this and make it better? Like, I mean, I guess, first of all, not being a dumbass is important. Participating in important conversations is good. Having those conversations lead to, like, your influence in, like, how you vote and stuff, I guess that's good. I don't know. Katrina, hey, Katrina, says, how can I care when nobody else does? It's so hard, but you should care. Frankly, you know, I get it. I get it. There's points in the world where it's, like, so much shit's going on, and this is horrible. It's like, why should I give a fuck? Like, blow it all up. I think we should care. I think people caring and wanting to do something is really important. Now, I understand there's a lot of scenarios and situations where we can't do much, but we can do something. And it's that something I think we should, like, do. whatever that something is. And if we can't figure out something to do to help things, we need to sit down and innovate and problem solve and figure out what can be done, instead of just like giving up and throwing up your hands and being like, fuck it, the world's fucked, to become super apathetic and just like, I don't know, just lay down and die. Like, we need to care. The world's not going to get better until we start caring as individuals. It's when we don't care and we let these leaders like Putin take over and make decisions for us, that's when shit gets bad. Okay? Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the penguins. Power to the penguins. So, moving on to penguins. In San Francisco, in their aquarium, they have a baby boom of African penguins. They have like 10 of them. And they are so cute. Here's a spot of happy Friday news for you. The Steinhardt Aquarium in San Francisco, California has recently seen a bounty of African penguin chicks hatching, and predictably, they are 100% adorable! Between November 2022 and January this year, a total of 10 African penguin chicks have hatched at the aquarium, which is quite the uptick compared to the previous rate of hatchlings. To hatch 10 chicks in just 14 months is truly remarkable, and especially if you consider previous 10 chicks hatched over a period of 10 years. So the previous chicks were like 10 over like 10 years. Look at that. Oh, you can't even see this. Look at this fat little chunky butt. Look at the fat, chunky, fluffy butt. Chunk. Let's see. The chicks are a result of breeding programs spearheaded by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which recruit 3 pairs of penguin parents with the task of maintaining the genetic diversity of species. The latest proud parents are Parker and Tux, whose first chick was hatched in January, though its name hasn't been named or sexed. It's so cute.
I know. Are you hungry?
Ow.
Yeah. His foot is tiny anymore.
Hello, Alice.
What they named them? I remember.
The last 3 chicks before these 2 were Rudo over Faro.
Oh, they like laser pens.
Cheyenne Mountains.
They're so fucking cute.
Math is involved in
Ow.
that. 2.5 months. 2.5 months.
Man, he's really into that laser pointer. They're like cats. Like, they love the little dot. Get it. Get it. Get it. Get the dot. Get the dot. Dude, I want to sit with a laser pointer and play with penguins.
Alice Eastwood, who is the curator of botany.
And they have little balls. Oh, they have little play balls. Ow.
She saved a bunch of specimens
Fluff.
from the fire. Yeah, she was a pretty remarkable woman.
They're so cute. The fat little fluffs. So I guess they're trying to. So African penguins are like endangered. And it's because of like overfishing and pollution and all this stuff. Oh, this was that article about like We already talked about that, though. I don't want to talk about that. Just African penguins are so cute. Let's see. Do we got any videos? I just want to look at little baby penguins. Oh, no, not music. We can't do music, I'm sorry. Oh, it's so fluffy. Oh, it's a fluffy chunk. Chunk. I want to pet it. It looks so soft. It looks like a soft little football with flappies on it. It's a football with a flap. Wow. I like how it walks. And the fluffy butt. These are at different zoos, but like, let's see.
January and February are penguin days here at the Cincinnati Zoo, so naturally we have to have penguins. You might think, where do they get penguins? Well, we make them. This is a baby.
Oh, it's a football.
African penguin. We don't know his name yet because we're not.
That
sure
is
if
the
it's a
cutest
boy or
little
a girl.
football I've ever seen.
We are hand rearing him behind the scenes in the nursery of our birdhouse because in the spring he'll be part of the zoo's Wings of Wonder bird show. Penguins are among the most popular animals at the zoo. Folks love to see them swim around, but they're an amazing animal.
Oh, hey, Katrina, happy birthday, honey. Happy birthday to you. Everybody put some cakes. Let's get some cakes in the chat. Let's get some cakes in the chat. Get some cakes in the chat. Fucking cakes in the chat. Happy fucking birthday. Happy fucking birthday, bitch. It's a birthday, bitch. Happy fucking birthday, bitch. 'Cause you're the birthday, bitch. I mean, bitch lovingly, of course. Happy birthday, Katrina. Happy birthday, Katrina. Happy birthday, Katrina. It's your fucking birthday. Happy fucking birthday, Katrina. Happy birthday, Katrina. Happy birthday, Katrina. It's your motherfucking birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Katrina. It's your motherfucking birthday. Happy birthday, Katrina. It's your motherfucking birthday. Happy birthday. Okay.
Like all birds, they grow up very, very quickly.
Look at his feet are so big.
Hatched out of a little egg. Now he's that big, and he'll end up over 3 times that size when he's full grown.
We put
if
a
I hold my
fish.
fingers like this, it elicits a response for feeding, and he likes to
Put a treat in the treat hole.
Fish, and they catch them themselves. But at this age, their mom or dad would bring food back.
That's what I love about pets. I love feeding pets. You just put a treat in the treat hole. And just like, treat. Eat the treat.
And hold their beak up there. Whoop. And then feed them. There you go. Good boy.
Eat.
Good boy. There's 17 species of penguins in all. A lot of times people think they only come from where it's really cold, like Antarctica. But those are the real big ones, the emperors and the kings. This is one of the medium-sized penguins. They also sometimes are called black-footed penguins. And they come from islands off the coast of South Africa where the temperature is just about like Cincinnati. It's cold in their winter,
That's
but
such a
plenty
cute
hot in
little
their summer.
butt.
In fact, here in the nursery, he doesn't even need to be refrigerated. But
No
he's
way, he
used to
just
weather like
poops
we
in the
have around
hand.
here. So when you come to the zoo this spring, be sure to catch our bird show, and you'll see its newest star, a little African penguin. Here at the Cincinnati Zoo Birdhouse, I'm Thane Maynard. You were good. Yeah.
That jungle music really got me going. Dude, emperor penguins, you know what's so weird? You see emperor penguins on TV, and they don't seem that big, dude, they're really fucking tall. Like, they're as fucking big as me. Like, I'm 5'6". Like, they could easily, like, how tall are emperor penguins? Like 3 to 6 to 4.3 feet. That's fucking tall. Like, they're the size of a goddamn person. They're so fucking big. Like, I can't believe they're that big. You don't ever think about them being that big. They're big. No, bigger than toddlers. Do you know a fucking 4-foot toddler? What toddler is 4 feet? A mega penguin? What the fuck?
Can penguins really be taller than most adults? Hi, I'm Nate from PolarGuidebook.com.
Hi, Nate. Your voice is obnoxious. Thank you.
And in this video, we'll compare the size and weight of each type of penguin and find out about a whopping 6'6" record-breaking penguin. Let's get started. Penguins are some of the most adorable creatures in the animal kingdom, but with 18 different
I swear to God, if I might have to clip this out because of this stupid music.
Species, their physical characteristics can vary a lot. To start off, let's take a look at their height. For comparison, we'll take an average male adult from the United States at 175 centimeters or 5 foot 9 inches and place him here. Starting with the smallest species, we have the little penguin, which is endemic to Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, those are cute. The little Australian penguins. I love that.
As its name suggests, the little penguin is very small, at just 40 centimeters tall. Next, we have the Galapagos penguin, which lives near the equator, followed by the 2 types of rockhopper penguin. Then, there's a slight jump in height up to the chinstrap penguin, which is our first Antarctic penguin on the list, and the Humboldt penguin, which is found in South America. These are closely followed by African, Macaroni, Magellanic, Fiordland, and Adelie penguins, which are all around 70 to 71 centimeters tall on average. This is about the average height for a penguin. On to the top 5 tallest penguins, we have the yellow-eyed and royal penguins, at 76 cm tall, the Gentoo penguin at 81 centimeters, and the king penguin at 95 centimeters. And finally, we have the largest penguin species currently in existence, the emperor penguin, which stands at 115 centimeters tall, or around 2/3 of the height of an adult male human. So, what about that 6'6" penguin you were promised in the introduction?
I don't really care about your mythological mega penguin. I just want to see more videos of gay penguins. Wait, why did I say gay penguins? Why was that the first thing out of my mouth? What the fuck? Why did I just say gay penguins? I think that... Why did I just say that? I think there are gay penguins. Hold on. Gay penguins. Yes! Yes! Gay penguins.
This is the story of a love triangle at the San Francisco Zoo's Penguin Island. 2 male penguins, Harry and Pepper, formed a partnership that lasted 6 years. They shared a burrow, incubated an egg, and raised a chick together.
Aww.
But then Harry met Linda, a recently widowed penguin who had quite a few partners over the years.
It sounds like Linda gets around a little bit. Yeah, well, they all get around a little bit. It's a small island.
In a move that sounds like
Linda, you slut!
Something from a reality dating show, Harry strayed from his longtime same-sex partner and moved in with Linda. That's the new couple together there, leaving poor Pepper to swim all by himself.
Oh,
Penguins
no.
have the same emotions and feelings that we do as humans. It's nice to see that story and the connection between them.
But some in the blogosphere have taken that connection to the extreme, using the breakup to debate whether being gay is a lifestyle choice.
I can understand why they left the other male for female, probably maybe a little bit more nurturing environment.
Any two capable parents can raise a chick, so it doesn't matter if they're...
We have to use penguins to determine if gay is a choice. They're bisexual, obviously. Fuck. What about the non-binary penguins?
Same-sex couples in the wildlife kingdom are actually not that unusual. Other species, including flamingos, have also been known to pair up with same-sex partners.
Okay, flamingos are totally gay. Okay, let's just get that right off the bat here. Flamingos, 100% gay. All of them. I mean, how can you not be gay with
Sometimes
flamingos?
even raise chicks in trios. Curators say penguins and politics shouldn't mix.
I wouldn't like to
I
draw any
agree.
conclusions from penguins to people and any kind of political things going on.
Pepper initially had
Even
been
the word is
separated
gay,
from the new
right?
couple as he kept trying to invade their nest. But
By the way, Pink Flamingos is one of my most favorite movies ever.
he now seems to have accepted the loss. He's living next to his ex and waiting for a new mate. Haven Daily, The Associated Press, San Francisco.
If you want a really good movie to watch about like an archetype of like an anti-hero, like you should watch Pink Flamingos. It's such a good fucking movie. It stars Divine. It's a John Waters film. All right, everybody's weekend assignment. You have to watch Pink Flamingos.
I'd like to close with the original trailer New Line Cinema used to sell Pink Flamingos. Notice, no footage from the actual movie is ever shown.
How did you happen to hear about it? From some friends who saw it and thought it was absolutely marvelous.
Probably I'll be very insulted.
Rex Reed told us that it's fabulous.
Would you come out at midnight to see it?
Why go home at midnight? What are you going to see there? I guess there's just two kinds of people.
That's not an actual trailer.
Hello, moviegoers. This is Mr. J speaking to you for Dreamland Studios. This beautiful mobile home you see before you is the current hideout of the notorious Beauty Divine, the filthiest person alive.
Well, if you want to sing out, sing out.
No, we can't have songs. Anyways, so it's about Pink Flamingos is about the filthiest people alive. And they want to be notoriously like the filthiest, nastiest fucking bandits, like the worst people, like they want that. But then there's this other couple that is also competing for the filthiest people alive title. And so they have this like underground like black market baby ring and they try to take over the... It's just really fucking... It's such a weird movie and I love it so much. It's a very crass movie, just so you're warned. Like, if you do not have a dark sense of humor, like a really dark sense of humor, you might not like this movie. Just letting you know. Like, you need a dark sense of humor to watch this shit. So, when's the Pink Flamingos essay due? By next week. By next Friday, let me know what you think of Pink Flamingos. I'm pretty sure you can find it. I'm pretty sure you can watch it for free Like, you can just look it up and watch it for free. I think it's, like, old enough. Let's see, where can you watch it? Like, Pink Flamingos full movie. The Evolution of Horror? No, that's not Pink Flamingos. Where can you find it?
Oh!
No, not there. I don't know where you can find it. You can find it somewhere. Nah, wherever. Probably on Prime, something. But yeah, look it up. Anyways. Hey, look. It's been so great hanging out with everybody. Let's see, we're coming on into 2 hours and 50 minutes. I think that's enough stream time tonight, my lovelies. I think we are good to go. I think I'm pretty satisfied with tonight's stream. We talked about Tucker and Putin. We talked about a ton of different things. I shared with you, like, my whole story I created with Mark, like, when my power was out, about Humphrey, Captain Humphrey, and Agatha. Like, very interesting, deep in depth story there. And we had baby penguins and Taylor Swift psyop. So, just very bizarre stream. I had a miniature existential crisis. Ugh. Anyways. I think I'm going to get off and finish this beer. But I love you. Loppy loves you. And we really appreciate you coming here tonight as usual. Thank you to everybody who sent super chats. That means the world to me. Just so you know, it's not required to monetarily, like, support me. You don't have to give me money. But simply liking the video and subscribing to my channel and then coming to the live streams, that does a lot. Like, that helps the algorithm. That helps things keep juicy and stuff and zesty. So, you know, it's like, you don't always have to become a member and stuff. But if you do, that's wonderful, and I totally appreciate it. Like, it really, really fucking helps. Like, it helps me out more than you know. So thank you. And thank you to all of our moderators. We had all the moderators in the house tonight, I'm pretty sure. Except for Phil. I don't think Philip came tonight. That's fine. Philip's always busy. We love Philip. But, yeah, thank you so much to all the moderators who came and hung out. Mark and Susan and Cassie and Elise. So, Philip's at work. Yes, Philip's a busy man. So, anyways. Good night, Laura. Good night, Spectral. Good night, Vibrational. Elise, Zeus, thank you so much for coming. Is the Oculus streaming tomorrow? Are they? I never heard anything about that. Oh, you are? At 9. Okay. Yeah, I'll be there in the chat. So everybody hang out for the Oculus tomorrow. You want to drop a link, Susan? Hanging out in the Oculus. Yeah, I'll be there to moderate. You don't have a link yet. Okay. Macromonius, thank you so much for coming. Macronomicus. Macrame? I don't know. Anyways. It's been real fun tonight. Macaroni. It's been good seeing you, Macaroni. No, joking. I know it's Macronomicus. MC Heavyset, thank you so much for coming. Okay, so Susan hasn't posted the stream yet, but will tomorrow afternoon. That sounds good. Okay. All right, let's call it. We will see you next week. Okay? Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night. Mwah.